What's going on, guys? In this video I thought it'd be really cool to take you through my setup on my guitars. Right, I needed to change the strings on this one. This is the Majesty, beautiful guitar, Okalani blue, and I needed to change the strings on it anyway. So I figured what I would do is take you into my studio where I have my guitar tech Steve. He's been doing my guitars for over 10 years now. He knows exactly how I want my guitars set up. He knows everything that I want, from not only the string size, but also like the height of the strings and how to get the intonation just perfect. I don't know. I thought it'd be cool to take you over there, show you how we did this. You'll see us, I'll be talking through the video, but you'll see us change the strings, clean the neck, all the standard stuff, but then kind of dive in a little bit more into the intonation side of it, the string height, how to adjust the neck, the different tools that we use, and we just get a perfect guitar, or as close to perfect as we possibly can, almost every time. Plays exactly how I want it to, and I think you guys are going to be pretty happy with how it turns out. So hope you guys enjoy the video. Let me know what your setup is if you have it, or maybe you just kind of wing it every time, but hopefully not, and hopefully you enjoy the video. Let's get to it. All right, first things first, we just got to take the strings off of the guitar. This is pretty straightforward for everybody that is kind of looking for more of like a setup with like all the tools, so you can skip ahead a little bit. But, you know, right there what we were doing is we were tightening up the tuning heads there. And this is just a quick glance at the neck. You can tell it's a little bit dry. It's a little grimy from my sweat because I play it all the time. Just want to get this whole thing cleaned up from scratch. So first thing first is that we do this cleaner and prep on the fretboard, and we do these little craft swabs inside the grooves of the nut. You can see there's a lot of grossness in there. But what this does is it really gets some of those oils and dirt, debris and stuff off before you add the oil. Right? It kind of dries it out a little bit, but that's okay because we're just trying to get all of that. Look at all that. That's just from playing and all the natural grimes off your fingers and stuff. Now we add the oil, and we just go one fret at a time, and you can see instantly how much the fretboard just soaks this up. You can see, look at the difference, just one fret at a time. It's really important to oil your neck. And of course we are going to wipe off any excess that's there, but we just wanted to kind of show the difference of having oil on your neck versus not having oil. You can tell that the cloth is clean because we used that prep, which is really nice. So we just went through the whole guitar. Here he's just going through and cleaning up some of that excess oil. You don't want to have it just laying on there. Just enough to kind of clean it off. We got the strings on, and these are locking tuners, so we don't really have to worry too much about winding it a lot. Just get a little bit of some slack here, and then we lock it at the bottom, and then we just start turning. So here we're locking it, and we just start cranking on this, get it turned up. We hold that up, and then we wind it around and down, and then we snip off the end. So right now we're just doing that on all the strings. Looks really cool. Kind of like this passage of time here. And these are the Ernie ball 7-string standards. I think they're the super slinkies, and of course, you know, being endorsed with both Ernie Ball Music Band and Ernie Ball, I get some of the best equipment in the world, and you know, the strings, the guitars, no different. So very happy and very proud to be a part of their crew. All right, this is Big Ben's Nut Sauce, just kind of an added touch here. I love that name. Basically, you're just going to smush it into the grooves, and it just keeps it from creaking, especially on those wound strings. Again, it's just a nice little added touch. All right, now we're looking at the bridge. This is where we actually get into the setup here, okay? This is cool. Basically, you can tell that the bridge is dunking into the body, right? It's not sitting flush. What that means is that the springs in the back, you can see them there, the springs are too tight, meaning they're screwed inward, right? Because you have two big screws that are in there attached to the claw, and they're screwed into the guitar way too tight for this setup, because we changed string gauges too. So what we're going to do is we're going to loosen it back, meaning we're going to go counterclockwise on those screws, about half a turn on each side using the screwdriver. And what that does is it will pull the springs less tight and allow the bridge on the top of the guitar to come forward a little bit and sit flush with the body. This is not something that you're going to always get on the first try. You want to kind of, like we're doing here, we're doing about half a turn first. See right there, there's a quarter turn, and then there's a half a turn. That's it. We're not cranking on this thing. We're just giving it a little bit of a turn. We plug it in, and let's see if we can get it tuned up so he goes through all the strings. And you can tell that on this first go around, the strings are just going to be way out of whack. But look at how much better that is already. We're still dunked in a little too much. So we're just going to go through, and instead of doing a half turn, we're going to do just a little quarter turns here. Right? Oh, I guess he is going to do a half turn, excuse me. So we're doing about a half turn here because we need to pull those springs loose so the bridge will sit forward. Now, you'll notice all of these strings are low, and we have to tune them high. Well, the reason why is that if we want to pull the bridge up, we have to tighten the strings, and when you loosen the springs, it allows you to tighten the strings, and that's going to pull the bridge to set nice and flush. And even here, there's just a little bit of movement where you can tell it's dunked in. So I think right here, we're just doing literally, he said, like an eighth of a turn. See that? We're barely, just a little scooch back. And this is going to allow it to set perfectly. And now you'll notice that the strings are a little bit low going high, but not as bad as before because we didn't crank on it too hard. So you'll notice they're all going to go right back to being in tune. And then when we fast forward over to the bridge, you'll notice that the bridge is sitting perfectly. Look at that. It's amazing. And again, this all comes from the spring string tension. If you don't have that set right, it's not going to look good. So notice if you pull back, that's what it looks like. So if your bridge looks like that, you don't want that. That means that your springs are too tight. They're pulling the bridge in. And if it looks like this, where it's dunking forward, it means your springs are too loose. And there's just no way you're going to be able to keep your guitar in tune. All right, now we are moving on to the neck relief. If you notice, he's got this fancy little tool, and the tool was saying that the neck was completely flat. There was no relief in this neck. So now with Ernie Ball, they've got that little wheel there. You stick an Allen wrench or something that's strong enough, and we give the neck a little bit of relief. So what he's doing is he's loosening the neck here, so that way we can get, you don't want a huge curve in the neck, but you don't want it to be completely flat. So what we've got it reading at is 0.005. That's about what you would want, maybe even a little more. I think he wanted to go for a 0.01, somewhere in that range, or a 0.012. And all it does is you just measure it from the 3rd fret all the way up, and right there we had it perfect. Moving on, we are at the string height. Now this is really important because if all your strings are at a different height off the board, it's going to just play horribly. You're not going to get a smooth transition between strings. That's something that's like a secret tip. Now what he's showing you here is that we've got this thing zeroed out. We don't have any pressure on the neck. When he pushes on the neck, look at how that affects the reading of how high the strings are. So you don't want to have this sitting on a neck rest or anything like that. So now we're on this high E string, and it's sitting at about 49.5. I'm trying to go for 50, 49 to 50, somewhere in there. And now you'll notice this string, there's one of them that's at like 52 or 53, way too high. So we got to grab this hex key, and we're going to lower it just a little bit. It looks like it was the G. You do a little bit on both sides. We measure it again. We're still at 51, so we want to go back a little more, lower it, come back. Hopefully we hit about 50-ish, or 49.5 was fine. Boom, 49.5, 50, we're right on. All right, this is a strobe soft. It's basically just a strobe tuner, digital, and we're going to look at the intonation here. This string here, I think it looks like it's the G. It was not reading right. So, when you hit the open string, it should read 0, and then this one was reading like -5 or -6. We want the 12th fret to read 0, and we want the open string to read 0 as well. So what Steve's kind of showing me here is if you need to do an intonation change, you don't want to have your guitar tilted like this, because once you do, gravity's going to pull that string sharp, and if you dunk it the other way, you can kind of see it in the reflection, it makes it go negative. So we want it to be at 0. So you want to always intonate your guitar sitting at a 90-degree angle, so that way you know that gravity isn't affecting it. And here he's using his Ibanez that doesn't have a floating trem, and it still does it. See, when he dunks it down like that, it's got -10. So this just shows you the importance of keeping your guitars at a 90-degree angle when you're doing intonation. Now I want to show you guys how it sounds after we've got everything set up. Really happy with how this turned out. Neck looks great. It's perfect. Everything's set up how I want. All right, guys, that was the video of the Majesty getting set up, tuned, intonated, string height adjustments, everything that you could want. Now, of course, it's not necessarily a video where I dive into each one of these things specifically, but if you want to know more about each one of those things, I could do more videos on that as well. So if that's something you guys want in the future, let me know. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe for more.